yo, your friendly neighborhood quarter guy here, and, first things first. I was gonna continue my boss rage against Paracelsia tomorrow, but, my friend Snake just got funded for his, Elgato gaming capture device, and it's supposed to come in next week, and I kind of made a promise with him to, that we would face Paracelsia, but with our own streams simultaneously. And he really doesn't want to do a stream with his webcam, so I'm going to delay that till next week. So this week, this Saturday, August 1st, I'm going to be streaming quite possibly my favorite game of all time, Mega Man 9. It's going to start at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I might be able to beat the game during the stream. Onwards to my big gripe this week. This week's Smash update. Yeah, it's got the YouTube replay upload feature in, and it's got the 2 retro stages in. But apparently, the new Mii costumes have everyone up in arms. Especially since they include 2 characters from my most wanted Smash Bros. Characters list. Those being King K. Rool and Lloyd Irving. And people are already saying that that automatically deconfirms them. Now, to be honest, nothing has been deconfirmed yet, but there is nothing to support either of them getting in either, so it's still neutral. It doesn't help their chances, doesn't really hurt their chances, but it kind of feels like a slap in the face considering King K. Rool is one of the most requested characters. That being said, there is also a Samus Mii Fighter costume, so I don't know what to think about that. What I can legitimately claim to be bullshit right now is that the tournament mode feels unfinished from what I've seen of it so far. For custom tournaments, you can either have all kinds of costumes or no kinds of costumes. You can't choose the type of battles. It has to be free-for-all. And you can't create a custom bracket tournament, which feels like it just feels wrong. And the bracket tournaments are all preset. So, and the worst part about the tournament mode right now, no offline. It's all online. Like I said, it doesn't feel finished, and I would expect better from a tournament mode. Especially considering the tournament modes that were in both Melee and Brawl. I'm sorry, but I can't get behind that. I can only pray that the next Smash update brings something more worthwhile. And while I'm on the subject of Nintendo, recently, back at the end of June, Club Nintendo was shut down, which was the loyalty program for people who purchased Nintendo games. I've been hearing something about something that might be replacing it. An article I saw seems to indicate that Nintendo may be starting a subscription box merchandise service, which is similar to Loot Crate. Now, for those of you who don't know, Loot Crate is a subscription service, which is where you sign up and they send you boxes of nerd-related stuff given a certain theme. Considering this stuff is... you never know what you're gonna get, you could end up with something that you really don't care about, but... considering I grew up with Nintendo, this somewhat intrigues me, but I'm not sure what it's gonna be like, so... I'm gonna be at least cautious about that. Oh, now anyways, I'm working on my script for top 10 things I hate in video games. So, my question of the week is... what is the one thing you hate most in video games? As always, send me your answers in the comments below. I'll pick my favorites and feature them on next week's episode. Here are last week's winners. With that, time for the fourth wall mailbag. First question comes from Takeshi Yamamoto, who asks, what's your favorite weapon type in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate? I would have to say it's a toss-up between the 2 new weapons introduced. For one, you have the Charge Blade. It basically combines elements of the Sword and Shield and the Great Sword. Well, maybe not so much the Great Sword as the Long Sword. It's but it's a versatile weapon. It's got speed when you need it, it's got power when you need it, and it's good for elemental damage users. The other one is the Insect Glaive. I mean, at first glance it seems like little more than a blade on the stick, and to an extent it kind of is, but there's also the added wrinkle of the Kinsect, which basically allows you to have it home in on enemies, take various essences from them, and use it to buff your character. You can buff your attack, buff your defense, and even heal. That is useful, and it's really fun to use. It's also the best for getting on top of enemies to mount attack them, so that's useful as well. Especially on monsters like the Gravios, which are so heavily armored that the only way you can really reliably damage them is to mount them and attack them that way. That's always a good thing. Next question comes from Daniel King, who asks, what are your thoughts on Street Fighter V's new character, Necalli? Interesting thing about that, when he was first teased at the end of Ken's trailer, he kinda looked like Hugo for some reason, though his eyes seemed a bit wilder. So when he was finally revealed to be an original character, I was like, okay, this guy looks interesting. Not to mention his trailer look makes him look like an absolute savage. I mean, he's like, no restraint, completely balls to the wall, and he fights like a man from the jungle, to be honest. He's like, totally insane, and to be honest, he looks interesting. Which is a good thing that Street Fighter V is coming to PC as well as PS4, so that I don't have to buy a PS4 just for one game. Next question comes from Leonardo Juan, who asks, who is your favorite character in Fire Emblem Awakening? I'd have to say at this point my favorite character is Dano. Mainly because, for one thing, one of the kinds of characters I have a thing for is the underdog character, and to be honest, Donnell, considering his humble origins, he is probably the biggest example of an underdog in Fire Emblem Awakening. But for me, he is one of the most reliable units in the game. For one main reason. That being his skill aptitude, which gives a 20% boost to a chance that a skill will increase upon level up. So he has a ton of potential for level up possibilities. And reclassing him to a mercenary and later a hero, he will wreck nearly anything. That's why I love Donnell, and I also like him as a character too. Next question comes from Starbit, who asks, what are your thoughts on Riot killing, name redacted, at the end of the League of Legends Bilgewater story? I kind of find it interesting that Riot would actively kill off one of their champions just so they could have like a justifiable reason to disable someone. Though, considering it's Riot and that Gangplank's a popular champ in League of Legends, I won't be surprised if this is only temporary and they eventually bring him back as like as a zombie or something, or a ghost or whatever. Ghost pirates seem to be common in horror lore. Last question comes from MetaNuxBeats, who asks, what do you think about the Chrono Phantasma soundtrack and compared to the older BlazBlue soundtrack? Give me the original soundtrack any day. Which reminds me, I still need to remake that Astral Heats countdown sometime.